Before we get into the video, I'd really appreciate if you like, subscribed, and that's it. UFC 310 just took place, Pantoja versus Kasakura. Let me start this off by saying I was sick. I woke up, I was sick, throat was hurting, I had a fever. So if my mood's not the best, it's not because my picks are wrong for the most part, or it's not because the fights didn't live up to the standard. It's because I was sick, right? So starting off, I picked Kennedy Nezuchuku knockout. I think I chose second round. Lucas Brzeski is a fat light heavyweight, while Kennedy Nezuchuku, while he is a similar size to Lucas Brzeski, it's just he puts on a lot more weight. His body's meant to put on a lot more muscle, and he's very lengthy, while Brzeski's literally just an out of shape light heavyweight. Kennedy Nezuchuku was looking really good. TKO'd him in the first round at the end. I mean, his boxing looks great. His head movement's a little weird. I will admit, there was a moment in the first where I was thinking, oh my god, this guy's a retard. He doesn't know what he's doing. He gets to finish. He got to finish. And that's one pick right, which is kind of rare for me on this card, at least. The next one, Chase Hooper. I went Chase Hooper. I thought if you didn't go Chase Hooper, I don't understand what you're doing. Chase Hooper's already beat him in the grappling department. Coy Glida is a wrestler. His movement's not great. His striking defense isn't great. And it kind of showed. Chase Hooper really put the work on him early. I know Joe Rogan was glazing Coy Glida, saying, oh, he moves so well in and out. He doesn't move well. He's just moving. He's just burning all his energy. And eventually, Chase Hooper just shoots for a takedown. Chase Hooper is just shooting on him, which I thought I would see from Clay Guida, but Chase Hooper is just shooting on him, controlling him, and eventually he submits Clay Guida. Guida's 42, or around there. You know, it's like, this fight probably shouldn't have happened in general, but Chase Hooper looked good again. He looked good in his last fight. He looks good in this fight. Maybe top 15 we're looking at, or maybe one fight until top 15. He looks good. Even though it's against Clay Guida, it doesn't really mean much. He did look good. I went with Max Griffin here. And looking at the stats, you're probably like, why? I thought Michael Chiesa didn't have the fight in him. I thought his defense wasn't great. If Max Griffin could hit him with something strong, Michael Chiesa might quit like he did against Kevin Holland. Max Griffin did not. He didn't really throw much. He got out wrestled a little bit. And eventually, Michael Chiesa just submitted him. Which kind of sucks because I don't really like Michael Chiesa. I think the only reason he's still fighting is for his job, so it can be relevant still. But Max Griffin, man, he didn't throw with power, and even when he did, he looked slow. He was throwing weird punches. It just wasn't the Max Griffin I thought we would see. So I'm 2-1, right? I'm 2-1. Joshua Van versus Cody Durden. I went Cody Durden. I thought the wrestling would be enough. I thought I'd be able to get him down. Joshua Van's a very small lightweight, or not light, very small flyweight. Could arguably be an atomweight. He's very small, and he's not prone to wrestling. His striking, while it is good, the fight before this, he got knocked down. He got rocked. Took a lot of damage, and 3 months before that fight, he got knocked out. He got knocked out badly by Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson's good, but it's like, this guy, he needs to take his career a little slower, in my opinion. So that's why I went Cody Durden. He didn't have bad striking. I didn't expect him to gas out as much as he did, but he was working hard for the takedowns. And Joshua Van, I think he lost the first round, but in the second and third, Joshua Van just destroyed Cody Durden. Cody Durden didn't have anything for him on the feet. He just got hurt over and over again. There wasn't anything Cody Durden could do in the second or third round. He had no success. Joshua Van's chin is surprisingly good after, like I said, getting dropped and getting hurt and then getting knocked out all in like a 7-month span. His chin's pretty good. It recovers very fast. Not something I really expected from Cody Durden. And Joshua Van put the pressure on him. Honestly, this fight could have been stopped. Cody Durden's a monster for taking all this, but Van is just an even better monster. He's now ranked top 15. Maybe a fight against Charles Johnson again, but I doubt it, so we'll see. I'll make a video on fights to make next. So, I'm 2-2 now, right? Eric Anders versus Chris Weidman. I thought Chris Weidman would have a lot more to offer. Eric Anders just coming off a multiple-year drug addiction. Weidman is a professional athlete. He's been doing this for a long time. He was controlling Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva's washed, but he was still controlling him. Eric Anders looked good. The first round, it was a little iffy. I gave it to Chris Weidman the first round. The second round, Eric Anders just got him on the ground, ground and pound, overhands, everything. Like, just beating the shit out of Weidman for like 3 minutes straight. It could have been stopped a lot earlier. Weidman looked like he went out a couple times, just closing his eyes. He wanted the fight to end. Weidman wanted the fight to end. Good win by Eric Anders. Just Weidman couldn't get up. Weidman was just taking a lot of damage, a lot of ground and pound. And now I'm 2-3. So I'm now doing bad as long as being sick, right? So in this fight, Bryan Battle versus Randy Brown, first off, this is where the judging problem started, right? Bryan Battle, you can't miss weight, and you can't hold someone against the fence for about 10 minutes, and you can't be mad at the audience booing you because you're doing that. You missed weight. Granted, you lost 30% of your paycheck, I understand. You robbed Randy Brown, arguably. It's like, you held him against the fence the whole time. Randy Brown looked great. He looked good. Bryan Battle did not look like the usual Bryan Battle we see. I went with Bryan Battle just because the weight miss, and I thought this guy's going to have a lot of control when it comes to either a takedown or clinch game, which he did. I was right about that. He didn't look great. I saw some people saying, Bryan Battle will be easy top 10 at welterweight. He's going to be a staple at the top 10. Maybe not a champion, but definitely top 10 potential. I don't see that no more. While I do think Randy Brown is good, I mean, he's going to get, if he even makes it to welterweight again, he's going to get out-wrestled. He doesn't have grappling. Randy Brown's not a great grappler either. He's tricky, but he's not a great grappler. He's a little slow. And I'm honestly, I've never seen the hype around Bryan Battle. Yeah, he's good skill-wise, but he's really just an insecure guy. He's an insecure guy. I don't see why he's a fan favorite. Besides, I beat, a French dude. Congrats, man. The French dude was on short notice, if I remember correctly. And it was a close fight. So, he's really just an insecure guy to me. He changed his nickname to The Butcher, which is kind of weird. The Butcher Bryan Battle, or Bryan the Butcher Battle. That's just not a great name. It's just weird. But this is where the problems start. Keep this in mind, right? Bryan Battle won this purely based off control. Randy Brown did a lot more damage. His stand-up looked better. Bryan Battle's majority of his strikes came from holding against the fence, which could have been separated multiple times, and just throwing knees. Doing the Marab strategy, right? Now we go to this fight, okay? Keep in mind, when you look at the strikes, this is round-based scoring. This isn't fight-based scoring. This is round-based scoring. Aljamain won the first dominantly. Evloev came back, had a second good round where he won. It was 1-1 here, right? And in the third round, Aljamain had 3 takedowns and more control time, while Evloev had about 2 minutes of control time, landed a decent amount of shots, but we don't base it off damage, right? Because, if we base it off damage, Randy Brown would have won. You know what I'm saying? We don't base it off damage. Aljamain had more control time and takedowns. He won, in my opinion, first and third, but I'm not going to say it's a robbery. This fight was very close. I'm pretty proud of my Aljamain pick because I do think he won. It was a close fight. That's really what it is. It's a close fight. Just keep this in mind, right? Apparently now we're basing it off damage. And when I tell you Evloev strikes, look at all these strikes, look at these total strikes, and then look at the significant strikes, right? I don't know if you can see it. So look, he had 136 total strikes, 8 significant strikes. When I tell you that these total strikes, it was the equivalent of me doing this to you. Just lightly tapping your face and saying I slapped you. That was the equivalent of the damage. He didn't do any damage. Arguably, Aljamain landed the better shots. On stand-up, look, yeah, significant strikes. Aljamain outstruck him and did more damage. He had more control time, he had more damage, more significant strikes. These strikes, they don't equal damage. They didn't do anything, right? They didn't do anything, as you can see, 8 significant strikes. But we give Evloev the win based off damage, even though that's Aljamain did more, right? We give him the win based off damage. Really great grappling match, by the way. I love grappling sometimes. This was wrestling. This was really great wrestling. Reversals. Evloev had a really good back trip. Aljamain was picking Evloev up and slamming him. By the way, I saw someone in the comments say this, which I completely agree with. Slamming, not takedowns, but slamming should be a part of damage. Aljo was picking him up, slamming him over and over again on his ass. I really think Aljamain won this, and I think a lot of people agreed with me, but it's whatever. Themba Gorimbo versus Vicente Luque. I'm with Vicente Luque. I thought Themba Gorimbo is the definition of mid, right? He's someone who's here because of his story. While he's not a bad fighter, he's not great. And while Luque is aging while he's declining, Themba's not the guy to beat him. Luque immediately knocked him down. Well, I guess not immediately, but like 40 seconds in, Luque knocks him down. Finishing instincts. He always has that finishing instinct. Goes in for a Darce choke. Themba is out. He's not in, right? Themba is not in the submission. He rolls over to try getting out, and he puts himself into the Darce. I believe it was a Darce. And it wasn't great. Luque's back, but I wouldn't take this as a sign saying, oh, he's in his prime, because it's Themba Gorimbo. And I'm so happy Nick Diaz, if Nick Diaz was here, it'd be even more brain damage. I didn't want to see Nick Diaz here. I didn't think he should be fighting. I'm happy Themba stepped in and took this beating. I guess it wasn't really a beating. I'm happy he stepped in and took this finish. I would have been really sad if I saw Nick Diaz here, not because I like Nick Diaz, but because it's just sad, right? Like, we didn't have to have Nick Diaz here. But good win by Luque. I don't know what's next for him. I don't know if he's washed still or not. Don't overreact to this. It might have been a fluke. I'm just saying that. Do not overreact. Sorry, my nose is bothering me. Like I said, I'm sick. Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. I went Dominic Reyes here. I thought he would finish Smith. Fucking hell. I thought he would finish Smith in all actuality. And he did. He did. Dominic Reyes, I'm really happy he's back. The first round was a little iffy. Anthony Smith was landing shots on him. But Dominic Reyes was clearly ahead, clearly doing more damage. And the second round was... Oh my god. Dominic Reyes in a post-fight press conference apparently said Anthony Smith wanted to get hit. Anthony Smith put his hands down wanting to get hit so he could feel something. I mean, you get hit all the time, man. You don't got to put your hands down. You know what I'm saying? Like, your main signature move is to get hit in a fetal position, which he did. We got the new Anthony Smith fetal position, holding onto a leg for 3 minutes. He had his single leg. This retard, and I hate to say it because, his coach or friend died. I hate to say it. And he retired. I wish the best for Anthony Smith. But you can't hold a leg not defending yourself. He's just holding a leg in a single leg. For a minute straight, he's just getting teed off on. Dominic Reyes is elbowing him a little back of the head sometimes, but what are you going to do if a guy is doing this to your leg? Like, he's putting his head down. So, I don't blame Dominic Reyes for that. He looked great. He looked great. Besides getting tagged a few times, he looked great. And eventually the fight gets to the ground because Anthony Smith crumbles. He does this thing where he grabs your wrist to make sure you can't punch him with one hand. And it's just 3 minutes of a beating from Dominic Reyes. He's just beating the hell out of him. And Mark Goddard, or whoever was the referee, waited until the last possible second for Anthony Smith to maybe survive, just to call it. But I'm telling you right now, if Anthony Smith survived that, he was getting knocked out, even more brain damage in the third round. It's a good stoppage. Great performance by Reyes. He looks good. But I don't see him beating like a Volkan or an Olberg. We'll see though. We'll see. This guy could surprise me. I don't remember what score I am, but I did get the last. I should have got the fucking Aljamain fight right. You know what I'm saying? I should have got that right. I went Nate Landwehr here. I thought Dua Choi isn't very active. He comes off a lot of injuries. This will be a war, and it was anything but a war. Dua Choi just completely destroyed Nate Landwehr. Outstruck him, knocked him down, rocked him multiple times in the first round. Second round, he's out grappling him, still outstriking him. Third round, he gets him in a crucifix. And it's just elbows. It's just everything. Nate Landwehr is almost out about 6 times. He almost gets out, but he was stuck. He couldn't get out. Dua Choi's just pounding him, just making love to him on the ground. And I feel very sad because I love Nate Landwehr. He's just a cool fighter. But this dude Choi, man, he's a different guy. This guy, his boxing's amazing. His grappling looked good. He's faster. He's smarter. He's better. He's just fucking better. And it was a great performance by Doo Choi. Get him in the top 15. Like, he's 33. Let's just get him back in there. You know what I'm saying? Now, the reason I said this card is kind of mid. Like I said, I'm sick. Maybe it was just how I was feeling because I was, I felt like shit, obviously. This fight was horrible. Great finish by Bryce Mitchell. Did a great thing. Kron Gracie pulled guard. Kron Gracie pulled guard 4 times. And DC and Joe Rogan were like, oh, well, why? Or not DC, but Joe Rogan was like, why is Bryce Mitchell taking him down? You wouldn't want to do that to a Gracie brother. Bro. Why is this guy on the main, why is he on the main card? He's 1-2 in the UFC. His only win is Alex Caceres. Charles Jourdain beat this guy literally because Kron Gracie was pulling guard over and over again. What made you think he wouldn't do it against Bryce Mitchell? There's no IQ around this guy. He's not intelligent. When you look into this guy's eyes, when you look into Kron Gracie's eyes, he's dead. He's dead inside. There's no thought. There's no thinking. He's a retard, right? Nate Diaz was in his corner. I guess that's something they're trying to promote. If that's Nate Diaz's coaching, get him out. Like, he shouldn't be coaching you in the UFC. And it's a disgrace. This being above Aljamain and Evloev, or even Dominic Reyes, this is a disgrace. Kron Gracie is 1-2 in the UFC. Not only does he get a jump up into the top 15, he gets a main card spot. He's disgraceful. Cut him. He's the most boring fighter. Jiu-jitsu, I hate to say bad shit about jiu-jitsu. This is the jiu-jitsu I don't like. This is the jiu-jitsu no one likes, where you're just pulling guard or you're rolling for a leg over and over again. It's like come on. It's just boring. This is why grappling gets a really bad rep. But grappling Aljamain versus Evloev, that's good. We love that. But Dana White hates, Aljamain Sterling. Yeah, for some reason. Fucking hell, bro. I'm trying my best to get through this. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is right after the fights. So I hope y'all appreciate that at least. This fight was a robbery. Instant. At first, I was like, okay, look. By the way, I went Volkov here. Another robbery. Am I right? Let me go back, because I forgot to say. Kron Gracie got knocked out literally by pulling guard. He was trying to pull guard again, and Bryce Mitchell put his forearm on him and slammed him down, hit him with a nasty elbow. That's why you don't pull guard 8 times in a fight. Anyway, going back to Volkov versus Gane. I win Volkov. Underdog pick, you know what I'm saying? Underdog pick. And he won the fight. Right? He won the fight. He had an argument to win all 3 rounds. I gave him second and third. Gane looked alright, I guess. Gane looked alright. But it's he did not win that fight. The 3rd round, very clearly Volkov. And people got mad at Volkov because he was just, sitting there. Gane has him in a Kimura, and he's not letting go of the Kimura for, 4 minutes. Obviously, Volkov's just going to sit there. Because if he moves, if he makes a mistake, Gane has a submission on him, right? If he sits there, he wins the fight. He won the 3rd round. Whoever that... What the fuck's that bitch name? Bird? Her last name is Bird. That judge was horrible. Retard. The only reason she's on the commission is I'm pretty sure her husband is on the commission. She's a retard, right? She's a retard. Get her out of here. Horrible judging this whole card. Horrible judging. He won the fight. The second round, the reason I'll give him the second round, I believe it was the second round, he had that spinning back face, you know what I'm talking about, where Gane, his whole jaw snapped like that, his whole neck. I feel bad for Volkov. And I heard from people saying the reason they gave Gane the win is so John Jones looks better. Ultimate cope. But not even far-fetched. Not even far-fetched. I could genuinely believe that. However, Dana White walked up to Volkov, said, I don't know what he said, but I'm sure he's telling him he thought he won the fight. Bad robbery. Volkov's already old. Takes away his whole legacy, takes away his chance. Gone, didn't win this fight. He knew he didn't win. He literally left the cage as soon as they announced he won. Or my bad. I got the steps wrong. He looked confused. He looked confused, looking around in disbelief that he won, and then he left the arena. He left the cage. They brought him back in. He said he hated his performance. He basically said that he didn't win without saying that he didn't win. You know what I'm saying? Volkov got robbed of legacy, and it sucks. But I'm not. I got that wrong. I shouldn't have got that wrong. Can y'all agree with me on that? I should not have got that wrong. But Ian Garry versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. I went Ian Garry. And I know another underdog, right? Another big underdog. But I try to explain it to people in my predictions. This is a 50-50 fight. This isn't a 80% Shavkat wins as soon as he gets him to the ground. I said Ian Garry is a great student. He learns very fast. Shavkat doesn't have great head movement. His defense is lacking. I'll say he surprised me. Shavkat surprised me. He has a lot more speed than I thought he did. His time, or not even speed, his timing was very good. Obviously, Ian Garry kind of pieced him up and destroyed him in the boxing later on in the fight. It's sad to see. It's sad to see. And despite people loving Shavkat, I'm going to say it, he dry humped him against the fence. Right? He dry humped him against the fence. And that's how we won. This fight was not a good fight. Despite what people may say, this fight was not good. Snooze fest. Not what we expected. Ian Garry, I'm not even disappointed in him. I'm more impressed in Ian Garry. I knew he was good. I knew he would learn very fast. His grappling looked great. And if that's the Shavkat that's going to fight Belal, he's going to lose. I'm more confident in Belal than I ever have been. And I know it sounds like I'm shitting on Shavkat. I kind of am shitting on Shavkat, but it's like he had no answer for Ian Garry on the feet. He was dry humping him so much that he ripped Ian Garry's shorts. You know what I'm saying? He was holding him against the fence. I honestly was surprised we didn't see more breaking up in the clinch. But I understand they're both working hard. They're both fighting for head position. I understand why there wasn't much breaking up, but there should have been a little more, in my opinion. Ian Garry in the 5th round had the back. He had the back. He was about to submit Shavkat. He just couldn't get it under the chin. Ian Garry showed great improvement, and this guy's going to be a champion one day. This guy's like 25. He's going to be a champion one day. Shavkat, I can't say the same thing about. I haven't seen the improvement that people seen. I've never gotten the hype around Shavkat, at least that much. I think Belal will beat him, and I think he needs to improve. He needs to improve up this performance. If he doesn't, then I don't know. I really don't know. But, yeah, this fight wasn't good. Like, straight up. I thought this fight would be either domination or a war. Safe to say it was neither. It was a close fight. It wasn't a war. Ian Garry was messing up Shavkat's legs, outboxing him, and Shavkat dry humped Ian Garry against the fence and ripped his shorts. And failed 8 takedowns. And Ian Garry took him down. I'm not lying to you. I'm a Shavkat fan. I actually don't even like Ian Garry as a person, but I'm a Shavkat fan. This was disappointing. If you're a Shavkat fan still, I still respect you, obviously. You gotta admit, this was a little disappointing. But I was right. I was right saying this was more of a 50-50 fight. Ian Garry looked good. Good improvements. Good, amazing grappling. If you compare his grappling versus MVP to his grappling versus Shavkat, night and day. It's a night and day difference. This was a good fight. Based off competitiveness. It wasn't actually entertaining. Unless you really like the clinch game, it wasn't really entertaining. Besides Ian Garry, I'm disappointed, but like at the same time, I'm really surprised that Ian Garry did as well as he did. And Shavkat, I think I'm way more confident he loses to Belal now. It's just he doesn't. His grappling's not there if he's getting out-grappled by Ian Garry at times, and his striking isn't great either. Maybe this was a really off night for Shavkat, but Ian Garry had a great performance. Ian Garry looked great. So 2 underdogs, I'm not disappointed about taking because obviously Volkov won, and because Ian Garry looked amazing. This is an underdog. I'm not even disappointed. Like, I'm not. It was my pick. I chose Kaya Sakura. And I thought if he landed the same punches Steve Erceg did, he would knock out Pantoja. You saw it with the big knee. You saw of all this shit. I'm going to mute to blow my nose. Fucking, I hate being sick. But you saw it with the knee. You saw it where he was landing big punches on Pantoja. Knee to the body, knee to the head. Big punches. Pantoja's chin is unfair. No fighter should be given this chin. Any fighter at flyweight would have probably got put out by what Kai Sakura was like throwing at him. And people say, "Oh, Kai Sakura fraud checked." He's not fraud checked. Like, he was landing good and striking good of Pantoja. He got taken down, but it's Pantoja. When has Pantoja not done that to Moreno, Royval? When has he not done this? Maybe it wasn't as easy, but Kai Sakura, like, he should be at bantamweight. Like, I'm not saying he's a weight bully. I'm saying that this weight cut was way too much on him. He should be at bantamweight. For a debut fighter, this was not bad. Like I said, if Pantoja had any weaker of a chin, he would have went out. So I'm not mad about this pick. Kai Sakura is still a great prospect, despite people saying, "Oh, UFC's the best. There's levels to this," which there is. I agree. There's levels. He's not a fraud checked. Like, be honest, he's not a fraud checked. He looked great. Besides the back, but it's Pantoja. He's the back take wizard. He takes backs easily, submits easily, and he looked great. One complaint I will have: Pantoja has one of the best walkout songs. He has Many Men by 50 Cent. Good walkout, aura. It's everything great. And they censor half the song. I don't understand why you're censoring it. These are adults. Like, they're fine with listening to it. If there's kids, they're watching people beat the shit out of each other. Like, anyway, you know what I'm saying? They're watching grown men be unconscious. So why do you need to mute certain stuff? Other than that, this fight was pretty good. Fight of the night was definitely Aljo versus Evloev at this point. All in all, a very disappointing card. This card, while it was good, it was stacked. It was stacked with big names. Everybody expected this to be an amazing card. And while there were definitely highs, like there were definitely highs on the card, the lows were bad. Kron Gracie, the Volkov gone third round, where Volkov also got robbed by that random ass bird bitch who sucks. The lows were bad. And I got really hyped for this fight. I love Kai Sakura. I think Kai Sakura should go to bantamweight, but who's next for Pantoja? He called out DJ. He's not getting a DJ fight, let's be honest. He's not getting a DJ fight. You know, he's not fighting Royval or Brandon Moreno. Tyra's coming off a loss. He's not moving up because bantamweight already has plans. What does he do? What is next for Pantoja? And I'm thinking Kai Sakura. Or not Kai Sakura. I'm thinking Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France just came off a better performance against Steve Erceg than Pantoja did. The Amir Albazi versus Kai Kara, that's not even a loss. Kai Kara destroyed Amir Albazi, and then Amir Albazi robbed him, so that's not even a bad loss. I'm thinking Pantoja versus Kai Kara. Like, this is a guy who I already said he's very underrated, cleared out the division. They had to bring in a new guy to fight him, which Kai Sakura didn't do bad at all. He's not fraud checked, like I said. Y'all just don't know shit. Or, I mean, I'm sure y'all know shit, but, like, if you think Kai Sakura was fraud checked, you don't know shit. It's Pantoja. He's great. I just don't see what's next for him. I think this might have actually killed flyweight, at least a little bit. Think about it. If Kai Sakura knocked out Pantoja in one of those blows, this motherfucker, the flyweight would have went off. Flyweight would have taken off. New contenders, new everything. We don't have those openings anymore. I love both these guys. I think both of them are very underrated. And Kai Sakura had good defense on the ground. He had good takedown defense. He had good defense on the ground. He was able to get the rear naked choke at one point off, and then Pantoja being good, he just being great. Obviously, he's a champion. He just adjusts the grip. It was a good fight. The card was alright. It just didn't live up to the expectations. And that's about it. I'm sorry. I'm very sick. My ears are popping. I have a headache. I want to go to sleep as soon as possible. Good card. Good card. Like I said, just didn't live up. And I'm actually very excited to see Ian Garry and Kai Sakura's future in the UFC, especially Ian Garry. Like I said, I'm not even a fan of Ian Garry, right? I'm not even a fan of him. But he looked good. He looked really good against people who everybody thought was the uncrowned champion, Shavkat Rakhmonov. I just spit all over my computer. And I think Shavkat might have lost some aura to this. Might have made a couple fans, a little haters. Might have made haters a little more excited. And I think a lot of people got more certain than Belal. All in all, like I said, a good card. I liked watching it. I'm sorry. I'm feeling like absolute shit. And that's it. I really appreciate all the support, and I'm gonna make a fight to make next video probably tomorrow. But if I'm feeling even worse tomorrow, I just can't do it. I will make the video though, so I'd love to see y'all there for that. Other than that, yeah, I